5 times. The underlying culture of my interest surprised me, by Krishna's mercy. Tam padma vaktram daityendra kadachit strivritah khalah. Balam gurugrihayatam dadarsha swayatikshanam. Grihitva tu kare putram pattikaya sushobhana. Murdhni chakrankita patti Krishna namankita darat. Quote, one time that wicked king of the Daityas saw his son of lotus-like face and beautiful eyes surrounded by women, having returned from the home of the guru. In his hand, that boy was holding a slate which had the mark of a chakra at the top and the name of Krishna written with great adoration. Narasimha Purana, 41-35-36. In the following discussion, we cover different hypothetical situations that have the common theme of an interest. Someone takes an interest to something after introduced to it in a disconnected way. We could also say that the contact is indirect. The person is not part of the culture that produces the conduit, which is something like the link or the object of attraction. The person develops an interest nonetheless, but is later surprised to learn that the culture at the source does not particularly suit them. 1. The first time at a rock concert.
Back in those times, it was not easy to listen to music. Word of mouth was everything. That was how I developed an interest. Someone made a copy of a tape they had of this band that nobody ever heard of. I listened to the tape and was hooked. It was a brand new kind of music. You couldn't really tell people about it. They thought only crazy people were into that kind of stuff. Well, eventually that band went on tour, and one of their stops was in the local area. I was so excited. I would get to see the band, which was rare. It was not like you could pull up pictures of them on the internet. They had yet to produce a music video, too. They were kind of an underground thing. Well, the concert experience was strange, to put it mildly. Just an overall atmosphere of darkness, people smoking, people drinking. Everyone had long hair. The people were super tall, I noticed. Maybe the diet of the area was different from what our family followed. We were immigrants, after all. Anyway, I still love the music, but the scene associated with that music is not really my cup of tea.
2. The first time at a comedy club.
I saw a few video clips of this stand-up comedian. They were so funny. I decided to see them in person. I got seats at the very front for a better viewing experience. I did not realize that you are basically a sitting target. From that position, the different comedians will incorporate you into the show. They call it crowd work. I was not comfortable with it. In addition, the opening acts were really bad. I say they are bad, according to my tastes. Such vulgar content, foul language. The comedy club itself was dark and sad. Oh, the irony. The comedian I saw was great, but I am not much into the culture these places foster. I think I will stick to watching on television from now on.
3. The first time at a political event.
Probably like a lot of people, I tended to stay away from politics. I was never much into disagreement or debate. But then, this one issue arose which affected me directly. I followed the leaders who vowed to address the issue. I supported their campaigns for office. They promised to do other things as well. I tended to agree with their general philosophy on the role of government. Well, I ended up attending a local event in support of a few of these politicians. It was a strange experience. The people tended to be of a certain economic class. They looked down at others. There was a feeling of elitism. The things they valued in life, in how to spend their free time, did not align with my values. I am not judging them. It is just that compatibility was lacking. The thing is, if you mention you support certain political leaders, people in society tend to associate you with the culture. I just care about the issues. The culture I could do without.
4. The first time at a bhakti yoga event.
I received a book from a friend. The philosophy was eye-opening. It was like someone was finally giving it to me straight. This is just the information I needed. Why weren't we taught these things in school? Why aren't people rushing to purchase such books to wake up from their ignorance? Anyway, I decided to attend one of the local gatherings. This was held by the group that publishes the books I am reading. Well, it was a strange experience, and the overt, outward expression, the need to show off your devotion to the highest being, the insistence that others join along. I don't mind if they want to dance like that, but I am not comfortable. I also do not like being bothered. These people come from a background of drug addiction too. That is the case for the majority of them, anyway. I am glad they have found something to lift them up. I am thankful for the work they do, but the culture does not necessarily suit me. The tattoos are off-putting.
5. The first time learning how my father is like. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind that he facilitates connection even if a person is in seemingly the most hopeless position, if they are entirely disconnected, if they have no hope at salvation, if they are apparently doomed by the circumstances of their birth, they still have a chance. Watching such a person succeed is like seeing a small boat carrying the heaviest iron block cross over the most turbulent waters to reach the safest and best destination. The connection can take place because God is absolute. At the personal level, in the full and complete understanding, there is no difference between God and his name. A 5-year-old boy like Prahlad Maharaj can write the name of God on a slate and be fully in the company of the Almighty. The underlying culture might be completely opposed to that connection. Hiranyakashipu was the leader of the Daityas. Hiranyakashipu valued prominence, wealth, enjoyment, and domination in life. He wanted to remain in that position perpetually. He tried his best to make that happen. Hiranyakashipu utilized intelligence in his pursuit. He did not simply sit and pray. When face to face with a great benefactor, the leader of the Daityas refused to settle for rejection. When informed that immortality was not possible, Hiranyakashipu tried to assemble the same through individual parts. The benefactor felt compelled to agree with each and every request. Hiranyakashipu was the father of Prahlad. The child essentially took birth in a culture that was incompatible with his nature. It was like two forces colliding. The larger, more powerful force, which was also in the natural position of authority, tried to excise the poison bubble that was the devotion in the weaker force. The father tried to remove the inclination in the son. Because God is absolute, because the name of Krishna written on a slate is like having the same Krishna by your side, the father failed. The interest in Prahlad remained. The devotion was intact, even while living in circumstances incompatible with his desires in life. Prahlad was like the lotus flower floating on the surface of the pond. The devotee remained pure in his devotion, and any interference was resolved directly by the object of worship, who eventually appeared in person as Narasimha. Ananyash chintayanto ma, ye janah paryupaste, tesha nityabhyuktarna, yoga kshemam vahamya aham. Quote, but those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita 9:22. In closing, despite incompatibility and shame, somehow carrying this family name. Not with my interests to align, Father, my devotion to malign. Even with force attempting to break, but this slate a protector to make. Because name of supreme kindly to write, like subtly visit of nursing to invite.